Hi, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com, and welcome to That Was the Week That Was in South Carolina College Baseball for May the 21st. As you can see, I'm rocking a Travelers Rest Devil Dogs hat today. They're my alma mater. Been gone for 50-something years, but still like to see when they do well. This video is part of my coverage of college baseball in the state of South Carolina. Most of my coverage is through PalmettoStateBaseball.com, where I provide scores, updates, notes, news, rankings, things like that, team of the week. And just something I enjoy doing because I love college baseball. While the season's winding down right now, I really try to do some kind of coverage every day during the regular season as we go through this. I also provide updates, usually during games, through Twitter at Palmetto Base, and I offer a weekly Palmetto State Baseball podcast that's usually put up on Thursdays. You can email me at rudyjones at palmettostatebaseball.com with your comments, compliments, or criticisms. I want to hear what you have to say about my website and my coverage of college baseball in the state of South Carolina. I hope you enjoy college baseball as much as I do. Before we get to this past weekend, let's hit a few high spots from earlier in the week. Not a whole lot of action going on. Most of the Division II teams were through, and several of the Division I teams did not play on Tuesday for various reasons. Coastal Carolina did play, though, and they wrapped up a season sweep of North Carolina with an 8-6 win in Conway. That was a nice win for them. Clemson got a run rule win over USC Upstate, and College of Charleston got a run rule win over the Citadel. South Carolina, meanwhile, finally got some offense after some struggles, but the pitching staff was AWOL in an 11-9 loss to Charlotte, which meant the Gamecocks dropped both games against the 49ers this year. On to the weekend. 9 of the state's 10 Division I teams had a chance to make their conference or improve their conference seedings, tournament seedings, I should say, and so they had something to play for. 6 of the 10 won their series. It was pretty good, and the overall mark of the 10 teams was 18-12. Coastal Carolina entered the weekend tied with Southern Mississippi for first place in the Sun Belt Conference. Since the Chanticleers won the head-to-head series with the Eagles, all they had to do was finish even or one game ahead of the Eagles in the final weekend. Southern Miss went 2-1 against Old Dominion, against Louisiana, and Coastal Carolina swept Marshall to wrap up the regular season championship. One interesting thing about the Coastal sweep is they were trailing in Game 2 of the doubleheader on Saturday until Blake Barthol hit a 3-run homer to put them ahead, and they pulled away, then eventually held on from there. But it was a nice weekend for Coach Gary Gilmore's club. They finished 23-7 in the conference and 37-17 overall, and they entered the Sun Belt Conference Tournament on a 7-game winning streak. Clemson knew it couldn't catch Wake Forest for first place in the ACC Atlantic Division, but they did know that third place was the third seed, and second place in the Atlantic was well within reach. So they swept North Carolina, winning all 3 games to finish on a 12-game winning streak overall, and they won their last 7 ACC series, and I think it was 10 straight ACC games. They've been getting good offense up and down the lineup. Cam Canarella, Cooper Engel, Caden Grice, Billy Amick. Others have been contributing too. Blake Wright and Riley Bertram. It just seems like it's a team effort. They're all coming together right now as they need to be. And Grice is also pitching well as a starter. He struck out 9 in 7 1/3 innings against the Tar Heels. He did not allow an earned run in that win. So they seem to be peaking. They are 39-17 overall, 20-10 in the conference, and they started the conference play at 2-8. So you talk about 18-2 to finish, not too shabby. About a month ago, much of the national speculation about South Carolina was where they were going to end up in the top 8 national seeds. Now it's very much debatable as to whether the Gamecocks will even get to host a regional. I think the only way they can do it is if they make a deep run in the SEC tournament coming up this week. Carolina lost 2 of 3 against Tennessee over the weekend, but for a 5-run 6th inning, maybe a 5th inning, I'm trying right now, but for a 5-run inning in Game 2 of the series, they would have probably scored 2 runs and got swept. But as it is, they did do that, so they were able to get something out of it. Carolina's hitters look lost. They're probably going to set a school record for strikeouts in a season, either in the SEC tournament opener or in the NCAA regional. And all the pitchers not named Jack Mahoney are struggling. So, and it looks like right now this team is having absolutely no fun out there. And baseball should be a fun game, but right now Carolina's not having any fun. It doesn't look like. I know some injuries hurt them, but every team has injuries. People have to step up, and right now, whoever Carolina's been trying to get to step up has not been able to do the job. I know the pitching injuries made a lot of guys that maybe were second line, middle of the week type guys step into more prominent situations, but again, they've just not been able to do what needs to be done. Carolina finished the season 38-17, 16-13 in the SEC, and you're looking at it and say 38-17, wow. But after they started something like 34-6, 34-5, to see where we got to and how they're playing now, then you wonder. One interesting note I did see over the weekend on one of the ESPN telecasts was that every again, I'm just winging it here, every Southeastern Conference team with 16 wins in conference play has received an NCAA tournament bid since they went to this format, something like 1999. So getting that 16th win in the Saturday game against Tennessee may loom pretty big. I don't know. I don't think that Carolina would just flat out been skipped over in the tournament, but having that 16th win enhances their prospects of making it for sure, I think. Perhaps the most interesting series over the weekend was Campbell and USC Upstate in the Big South. The Campbells entered with a 2-game lead over the Spartans in the race for the Big South Conference Championship and the regular season top seed in the tournament. Upstate won the first 2 games in a walk-off fashion, and they had a chance to win that 3rd game. They had a runner in scoring position in the 9th inning, could not get him over and get him in. Wound up losing 12-9 in 12 innings. Upstate had tied the Camels for first place in the Big South with that second walk-off win on Friday. But again, that loss knocked them back, so they finished in second place in the Big South. Campbell won its 5th consecutive regular season championship in the Big South. The Camels are pretty good. 14th ranked nationally, and they're not chicken feed. I know my friend Fabian Fuentes, who's an excellent broadcaster based out of Gaffney, enjoyed doing those games on ESPN+. Fabian's a good guy, good fellow. He came down to South Carolina as a recruit for Gaylord Perry's first baseball class at Limestone College, and he just stayed down here. I'm sure he fell in love with someone down here, and the rest is history. Anyway, back to baseball. Winthrop and Charleston Southern entered the weekend with spots in the Big South tournament up for grabs. They were within reach. Only 4 teams going to the Big South Conference tournament. Winthrop was tied with Gardner-Webb for 3rd place entering the weekend. The Eagles did what they needed to do, won 2 of 3 against Longwood. They actually lost the middle game, but backed in. Well, I won't say backed in, but they clinched the tournament berth when High Point lost to UNC Asheville on Saturday. But they did come back and win on the final game to finish 15-12 in the Big South. That's the Eagles. That tied them with Gardner-Webb at 15-12, but since Winthrop won the head-to-head series 2-1, Winthrop gets the 3rd seed for the conference tournament. Charleston Southern, if it could have won one more game against Gardner-Webb, they could have finished in a tie with them, and they would have won the tiebreaker. But instead, by going 1-2, they finished 2 games behind the Bulldogs, and they did not qualify for the tournament. It's Gardner-Webb's 4th seed. College of Charleston entered the final weekend of Colonial Athletic Association play as a long shot to win the regular season championship. They were in 4th place. They were within reach of Northeastern and UNC Wilmington, who were basically tied for first. But the Cougars fell behind big early in the opener against Northeastern and never could come back. They wound up losing the 2nd game, too, before winning the 3rd game of the series. As it turns out, UNC Wilmington swept William and Mary to take the regular season championship. They are followed by Northeastern, then Elon. Elon finished 3rd, and then College of Charleston was 4th in the regular season standings. The Cougars were 34-20 overall and 18-12 in the league. By the way, I forgot to mention the records for Charleston Southern and Winthrop. Charleston Southern is 22-28 and 13-14 in the conference. Winthrop was 27-26 overall, 15-12 in the conference. PC was the only team going into the weekend who knew it could not qualify for its conference tournament, but they did get 2 of 3 at Radford to finish 21-34 and 12-15 in the Big South. Wofford went into the weekend knowing it could not finish higher than 3rd in the Southern Conference standings. and they did finish third. They won 3 games at the Citadel. The Terriers wound up winning 37-17 overall. That's a really good record, and 12-9 in the SoCon. The Citadel had flirted with a winning season for a while before fading at the end. They lost their last 5 games, and they're 22-29 overall, 7-14 in the SoCon. Only other action in the state over the weekend were the 2 sub-regionals, if for lack of a better term, of the NCAA Division II South Regional Baseball Tournament. They were at Tigerville and Newberry. North Greenville, the defending Division II national champion, was in a 3-game series. They fell into the losers bracket, but bounced back and won 2 games against Mount Olive on Saturday to win that portion of the Southeast region. Mount Olive had been red hot. They sailed through the Conference Carolinas tournament and were unbeaten until Saturday in this Tigerville sub-regional. The Crusaders advanced to play next weekend at home in a best-of-3 regional championship series. Who will they play? They'll play another Conference Carolinas team, Belmont Abbey. Belmont Abbey won the Newberry Regional. The Crusaders and Newberry were tied 9-9 after 8 innings in the first game, first of what could have been 2 games between those 2 teams in the championship round. But the Crusaders got 2 runs and wound up winning 11-9. And that ended Newberry's season. Newberry had a fine season to get there. They set a school record for wins, got their first South Atlantic Conference tournament championship since 1999, and their first ever NCAA Tournament Division II wins. So it was a good season for the Wolves. So that means that North Greenville and Belmont Abbey will play in a best-of-3 series at Tigerville this coming weekend to determine an entrant in the College World Series. It's the South Division II College World Series at the Southeast Regional Champion. Up next for 8 of the state teams are conference tournaments. The ACC tournament is in Durham Bulls Athletic Park again this year, and it again operates under a pool play format. There'll be 4 pools of 3 teams each, and each of the 3 teams will play the other 2 teams in their pool. At the end of the pool session, the pool winner, the one with the best record, or if it's a tie, the team with a higher seed coming in, will advance to the semifinals. The 4 pool winners play in the semifinals. The 2 semifinalists meet for the championship on Sunday. Up until the championship game on Sunday, all games will stream on the ACC network. Clemson plays Boston College at 7 o'clock on Wednesday and Virginia Tech at 11 a.m. on Friday in its 2 pool games. The Tigers won 2 of 3 at Boston College and swept Virginia Tech in Blacksburg during their regular season meetings. There are 3 games daily, Tuesday through Friday, then the 2 Saturday semifinals, and the Sunday championship game is at noon. It'll be on ESPN2. Moving on to the Southeast Conference. South Carolina finished 6th in the overall standings in the SEC. They had a chance to finish in the top 4 if they'd have done better against Tennessee or in some of the earlier series that they played. The Gamecocks will play Georgia at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time Tuesday at the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium in suburban Birmingham. That'll be the opener of the tournament. The SEC format is the top 12 teams in the conference go to the tournament. The 2 left out this year are the past 2 defending national champions, Mississippi State from 2021 and Ole Miss from 2022. It's a tough league. But anyway, it's a 12-team tournament to begin, but there's a single elimination round on Tuesday where 4 teams will lose and be eliminated. The 4 winners on Tuesday advance to the double elimination round of the main portion of the tournament where there'll be 8 teams involved. Action continues through Sunday. All the games through Saturday will be on the SEC network, and the championship game on Sunday will be at 3 o'clock, I believe, on ESPN2. Might be 4. The Sun Belt Conference begins Tuesday at Riverwalk Stadium in Montgomery, Alabama. It's a 10-team event. The bottom 4 teams play a single elimination round on Tuesday, and the 2 winners advance into the double elimination portion. It'll be an 8-team tournament from there on, beginning on Wednesday. Coastal Carolina does not play until 5 o'clock on Wednesday, and they don't know yet who they will play. They will play the lower-seeded winner from the 2 Tuesday games. That means it'll either be Georgia Southern, Georgia State, or Old Dominion. The tournament continues through Sunday with all games scheduled to be on ESPN+. All 8 teams qualified for the Southern Conference Tournament in Greenville. It begins Wednesday at Greenville Ford Field, but a pair of play-in games will reduce that field to 6 for the double elimination portion of the event. The Citadel plays VMI at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, in one of the 2 elimination games that's going to pare the tournament down. The Bulldogs took 2 of 3 from the Keydets in the regular season. Wofford's first game will be at 7 o'clock on Thursday, and they'll play either UNC Greensboro or Western Carolina. Western and UNCG play on Wednesday in one of the other single elimination games. Wofford won 2 of 3 against Western and lost 2 of 3 to UNCG in the regular season. All the games through Saturday from Greenville will be on the ESPN Plus, and the Sunday's action, the championship, it could be 1 or 2 games, depending on what happens, will be streamed on the SoCon Digital Network. The Big South Tournament starts Thursday at Truist Point in High Point, North Carolina, and it follows a format similar to the 4-team NCAA division regionals for baseball, double elimination, 2 games on the first day, and on from there. USC Upstate and Winthrop play in Game 2 of the first day at 5 o'clock on Thursday. Upstate won the regular season series over the Eagles 2-1. All the games in that tournament will be airing on ESPN+. College of Charleston is host for the Colonial Athletic Association tournament, and it begins Wednesday at Patriots Point in Mount Pleasant. The Cougars meet Delaware in the opener at noon. The Blue Hens went 3-0 against the Cougars in Delaware in the regular season. All games in the CAA tournament are scheduled to be streamed on the Flow Baseball subscription service. It's independent. It has things such as it's independent of ESPN, so you've got to have a separate subscription to be involved in watching that. The only other action this weekend is the Division II Super Regional in Tigerville between North Greenville and Belmont Abbey. They'll play Game 1 on Friday and Game 2 and 3, if necessary, on Saturday at at Dillard Field in Tigerville for the chance to represent the Southeast region in the NCAA Division II World Series. About a week from when I'm recording this, sometime next Sunday night, the top 8 national seeds for the NCAA Division I tournament will be announced. I feel confident in predicting that Clemson and Coastal Carolina will be in that group. I don't see anything that would bump either out. I don't think even like an 0-2 finish for Clemson in the ACC tournament or at 0-2 for Coastal would be enough to knock them out. Just my own personal opinion. I think South Carolina's going to be on the outside looking in for the 9 through 16 spots unless it wins 3 or 4 games in Hoover. However the good and deep the SEC is, the NCAA is not going to overload their regionals with teams from one conference. I think Arkansas, Florida, Vanderbilt, and LSU are locks to be top 16 seeds, if not top 8. Then South Carolina's going to be competing with Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee for other hosting positions. The Gamecocks did not play Alabama. They played Auburn, lost 2 of 3. They played Tennessee, lost 2 of 3. They played Kentucky and got swept. Looking pedestrian is pretty bad in the way that this way the games got played. I think a head-to-head will make a big difference. That's why I think unless they win 3 or 4 in Hoover, that they're going to have to travel when the NCAA tournament bids are announced. Again, I don't think they'll get left out, even though they have played very poorly, for lack of a better word, for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think they're probably going to be a number 2 seed somewhere. Unfortunately, I think a conference championship, tournament championship, is the only way any of the other state teams are going to hear their names called when the 64-team field is announced the following Monday. I don't think the strength of schedule, the RPI, and the just general perception of the various conferences is such that any of the other state teams are going to get a bit outside of winning their tournament. If I had to rank the possibilities or probabilities of a team winning this conference championship to qualify, I'd give Wofford first, USC Upstate second, College of Charleston third, and the Citadel last. Hey, but if any of those can do that, that'd give us probably give us 4 teams in the NCAA Division II playoffs, and that's pretty nice. By the way, if you've never been to a conference baseball tournament, make plans to do it sometime. There's a lot of good baseball, and to get to be around baseball fans. The speed-up rules have helped a little bit, but you still get to have a leisurely pace watching the games. Still lots of things about the college game I think could improve, and just baseball in general. But I still just think it's such a great sport to watch, and you can just relax. You don't have to be on the edge of your seat every moment. I've got tournament schedules posted at PalmettoStateBaseball.com, and I plan to provide daily updates on the tournaments. That includes score updates on Twitter at PalmettoBase. That's my Twitter handle. You can always contact me at RudyJones@PalmettoStateBaseball.com by email, or you can comment on any of the posts that I have on the website. I welcome your input. I want to know if people are paying any attention to what I'm doing. Well, that's it for this edition of That Was the Week It Was in South Carolina College Baseball for May 21st. I hope your team has a great week coming up this week in the tournament if they're playing. This is Rudy Jones saying nothing could be finer than college baseball in South Carolina. Jesus loves you. Good night.